So we got the new chapter quicker than I guess all of us thought that we would, and it's unusually short. Not complaining or anything, it's obviously better than nothing, just pointing out that it is particularly on the short side, especially for a One Punch Man chapter. I think it's like about 12 pages or something, and that could mean that there may be more parts to this chapter. Sometimes One Punch Man chapters are released in parts. So there's a possibility that maybe Monday or sometime next week we might get a part 2. But anyway, the chapter opens up with Genos like going crazy, and he says, "My power core has exceeded its limits and has begun thermal runaway. I will explode soon." So why is this happening? Well, there's a few reasons. First of all, it's because of the current form that Genos has. In chapter 93, it's stated as being a reckless upgrade. It focuses on offense, making it unbalanced. An increase in horsepower without reducing armor, so Genos must regulate himself as he fights. And if he were to fight at full power, he'll surpass the machinery's endurance and break. And if he does go full power, he can only do it for about 10 seconds. Since his body can't maintain any more than that, if he were to exceed that, then his energy core will explode. So I guess when Genos was going against Sairochi by himself with all the big crazy beam struggling stuff, he was using his full power for sure. However, it was after that point when Drive Knight came in and teamed up with Genos and said to Genos that like, "Hey, I require your assistance. I'm running low on energy. I want to combine with you and integrate our power cores for maximum output." And then we saw them fuse together and become Buster Blader, and then, further went against Sairochi. And I guess that was the breaking point for Genos' core here. And that brings us to where we are right now. And speaking of Drive Knight, Silverfang's like, "There's no emergency fix." And Puri Puri Prisoner's like, "That's right. Drive Knight would know Genos' body inside out." And then we see them in their Buster Blader mode, or I think it's called Dragon King in the official translation. And Drive Knight says, "It seems the barrier is gone. Objective complete. Pardon me." And then he assembles, drops Genos, and then just pieces out of there. If you've been following my reviews, I said that this was more or less going to happen. Once Drive Knight got what he wanted, he was just going to piece out of there. And what he wanted, of course, was Orochi cells, and we saw him get him a couple chapters back. And then after that, he just had one more objective, and that was for the barrier to come down. And I guess that killed two birds with one stone for Drive Knight. One, so he could leave, but then two, to keep him in the good graces of the S-Class heroes. So yeah, let's put another notch on the board for Drive Knight being sus. Even Bomb points it out when he's like, how heartless of him. But after this, we get an update on Child Emperor, and we see Puri looking at like the holographic GPS thing on the communicator, and he says, "It seems Child Emperor was buried in the explosion earlier." And then he angel crawls underground to go save him. So in the previous chapter, I guess the majority of the community speculated that Blast had somehow saved Child Emperor by like the last second warping him out of the way of Homeless Emperor's spirit bomb. So I guess this means that he warped him directly underground. But given that Puri is about to go meet up with Child Emperor, I'm sure we're going to get the explanation then. And it just seems very likely that Blast had something to do with it. And if it wasn't Blast, then I guess Child Emperor just was able to take care of himself. But then we come back to Genos, and he's just ready to accept his fate of just exploding, but he's like, "Hey, let me try to take down as many cadres as I can with me. You guys get out of here, but make sure you get out of at least a 5-kilometer radius," which translates to about 3 square miles. So that's a pretty impressive explosion coming from Genos here. Completely understandable because, like what I was talking about before, he was beam struggling with a pretty much consensus above Dragon and Sairochi. But then he gives one last heartfelt request, and he's like, "Please let Saitama and Dr. Kuseno know that I apologize for my inexperience." It's like, "Genos, we forgive you, but at the same time, you keep making the same mistakes you've made since you've literally been introduced into the series. I mean, when are you not gonna be inexperienced at this point?" But then Silverfang chimes in. He's like, "No, young people should never give in to despair so easily," says the 82-year-old who was ready to give his life to Elder Centipede, so I guess he's qualified to say this. Then Fubuki steps up, and Genos is like, "What are you doing standing there? I know you're not the strongest, but we can't even afford to lose you. Just get out of here." And then she says, "Be quiet," and she puts both of her glowing Esper hands onto Genos' back. And she's like, "I'm the Blizzard of Hell, the leader of the Blizzard group. Do you think I would just leave leave my subordinates to die and run away like nothing happened. You know, forcefully still making Genos a part of the Blizzard group, that old recurring joke. And then we get an explanation as to what Fubuki is doing here in order to save Genos. So apparently she's using her telekinesis, aka Esper powers, to suppress the thermal motion as much as possible, and then find the organic portions to reinforce and restore. So this is pretty crazy, and I'm both surprised, but at the same time not surprised that Espers are able to do stuff like this. It's kind of like the Force in the Disney Star Wars movies. There's just more and more developments on these Esper abilities with each chapter. But I'm more surprised that Fubuki is capable of doing this because she's really not that powerful, especially compared to the other insane powerhouses in this arc. But relatively, I suppose she is pretty powerful, and obviously proving it here if she is able to suppress the thermal motion of an energy core capable of destroying a 3-mile radius. But another interesting thing is that she says, and then find the organic portions to reinforce and restore. And that raises the question of like, how much of Genos is organic? I mean, I guess he has his brain, but like, what else does he really have? Like when Deep Sea King melted him, we saw like something of like a spine or something, but he's been cut in half so many times. It's like, is that really a spine, or does he have any spine left? It's like, what really is left of Genos besides his brain, you know? But then we come to Genos' Terminator vision, and it says unit temperature declining, cooling initiated, cooling function restored. So yeah, Fubuki successfully cooled Genos down and saved him from self-destruction. And like I was saying, super powerful energy core, capable of mass destruction. Very impressive feat from Fubuki here, showing that she certainly has some real potential to her as an Esper, and also, as they're pointing out here, as a leader too. But it wouldn't be a female Esper in One Punch Man if she didn't start coughing up the Kool-Aid after exerting herself. Then she seemingly falls unconscious, but is caught by Bang and Bomb, and we get the chapter ending line, which she may have the makings of a great leader after all. And yeah, that's the end of the chapter. Crisis averted. Genos is gonna be all right. And I guess Fubuki is too. I doubt she's dead or going to be benched for the rest of the arc. I'm sure she'll wake up soon. But yeah, fine chapter, but you know, very short and not really big developments here. One and Murata certainly making a meal out of this one sequence that probably could have just taken 3 pages in a regular chapter, probably, you know. But again, not complaining. It's better than nothing. And like I said, we might get another part to this chapter because this does seem like this would just be the first half of like a regular chapter, right? But let me know what you think about this chapter in the comments. What do you think about Fubuki's accomplishments? Let me know. And if you liked the video, guys, please give it a like and please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.